Alright, so this is the first ever VOD review of the weekly stuff that I'm going to be starting. Shen, Vladimir being banned away by CLG. See, now, this is always interesting. Right now, first and foremost, Vladimir is considered a pretty monstrous pick. And for Counterlogic Gaming to be on the blue side and not wanting to first pick it seems a little bit weird to me. So I don't really know what to think about that. It's always strange to see a power pick being banned away by blue side team. Kog'Maw ends up getting banned. It seems like he's actually rising to power a lot in Korea as the answer to Vayne. At least in the bottom lane. Lulu also popping back up quite a lot, and now Zoe to round off. So Cloud9's red side ban looks pretty standard. The Ezreal, Kalista, and Zoe. Looks like CLG wants to prioritize picking Ornn. I don't think that he's actually worth prioritizing. I think there's a lot of champions that are good into him, like the Gangplank. I think that even like Klepto, Fiora is still completely fine into Ornn. I think Alawi's fine. I just think it's a lot more worthwhile to give Ornn up in exchange for getting Vladimir, so that's a little bit strange for me. Braum locked in immediately by Cloud9. Varus, and now it looks like Taric going to be locked in for Counterlogic Gaming. This is pretty standard. Bottom lane champions. Tristana now being locked in. Okay, now we go into the second ban phase. So mid is still wide open. Could just see a pinch of junglers right now, and then Cloud9 getting the better matchup inside of the jungle. Kha'Zix banned away. And it's hard to know like what both of these teams are thinking, you know, because no one has really any insight into their scrims, and then me just going off of Korea, some stuff is gonna be a little bit off. Jarvan and Kha'Zix banned away, and the last ban for CLG is gonna be Evelynn. And Sejuani ends up getting locked in, and it looks like Counterlogic Gaming hovering Warwick. Obviously not a very traditional pick if they end up locking that in. Okay, they go with Rengar. So, I mean, this looks okay for Orianna if they end up going with Ori. Or it would be a pretty generic blind pick here if they go with her. Instead, they're actually first picking Malzahar. I feel like that's really, really bad. So CLG has a pretty big reliance on Malzahar and Rengar. If they go for the Spellbook Rengar, then it can open up a lot of picks. But the problem is okay, so let's just pause for a second. When they hand over the pick over to Cloud9, there's just so many champions that can actually be selected by Cloud9, right? The first pick of Malzahar is just so strange to me. With Cloud9's dive all-in composition, obviously they can make like mid-map plays with Darshan, especially in mid lane. Spellbook on Malzahar, gonna have that ultimate available a lot. Rengar gonna be able to make a lot of picks with the Malzahar if they establish control over, you know, the right-hand side of the river. Then it's gonna become a nightmare for the bottom lane. Now, fortunately though, for Jensen and Smoothie, when you're thinking about the map, right? So you're thinking about it, right? And you know, you have like the little rock ridge thing here, and then you have the little brush, whatever. It's a pretty easy defense from Braum, as long as Cloud9's not overextended in the lane, for them to defend any sort of plays by Rainover and Hui, even if they have control over this side of the map with vision and like pressure and priority mid. The problem, though, for me is that you're giving over so much control to Cloud9. Like, you have the Zillion pick. I mean, Ryze is actually fine in this situation, just primarily because of the team comps, but not mostly because of the Ryze Malzahar dynamic. Ryze Malzahar, as long as Malzahar gets out of the lane, then Malzahar is going to be a lot better. But in laning phase, Ryze would actually be okay, and he's really popular right now. Syndra would be okay. Orianna's not really a possibility, though, because you have the Gangplank up in top lane. I mean, the only thing that you have there is you have, like, Braum and Sejuani if you end up picking the Orianna. And then also Azir is open. So Azir is kind of like a nightmare for this team, especially because he's really, really slippery, extremely long range, and then you just have a boatload of scaling inside of your team compositions. You have a red side Gangplank, red side Azir, a lot of Baron defense, if you know, the Drakes don't go in CLG's favor and they don't end up establishing control, which by the way is really hard to establish against an Azir. So the picks in and of themselves are really, really peculiar. It seems like CLG actually came into this draft with a direction in mind. They were just going to hold true to it. And they gave way too many options over to Cloud9. I think Jensen's one of the few players in the West that can actually pilot Azir. So, you know, or I would give him credit to anyway. So it's just really strange. I think that the draft from CLG, I mean, it ends up backfiring. I would take Cloud9's draft any day of the week. The problem though is that if Cloud9 falls behind, if they fall down like 4K gold at 15 minutes, 16 minutes, there's probably no recovering, even with the Gangplank stall, even with the Zilean stall, with the bombs and everything. I think it's just going to be way too big of a mountain to overcome. So CLG is the one that are on a clock, no pun intended, against the Zilean, okay? And I really, really hate team compositions like this. The only way that I can say that it's kind of a good idea is that it is the first game of the new season. So, you know, maybe some pressure's on, you know, some nerves and everything, and that really does actually play into the aggression. You know, if you put someone under enough pressure, maybe they'll crack. Okay, Infernal Drake actually going to be the first Drake that spawns. So it's going to be very, very important for Hui and Reignover to establish control in the early parts of the game. Malzahar, Varus definitely going to want that. Rengar especially going to want it as well. Cloud9's, you know, obviously they want it as well for Zilean, Gangplank, Tristana. Obviously not the most benefit out of Sejuani or Braum. And, you know, likewise Bifrost isn't getting a lot of benefit. So we're just having a pretty defensive opening by both sides. If any team was going to try to be aggressive, maybe in the early stages, maybe you get something out of Tark, but, you know, there's not really too much there. I mean, Braum also has some threat. Looks like Hui actually starting off the lane with Malefic Visions for some early game pressure. Jensen not with the best bomb right there, and he does have teleport though. That is something to take into account. Hui does have the spellbook, so that's going to be fine. Some trades happening now down in bottom lane. It looks like Reignover just trying to establish a lot of pressure, gets a lot of damage off onto Svenskeren. So we can talk about this for a little bit. So even though Reignover, you know, he does a path that enables him to get over to Svenskeren's red side jungle, the problem is that he doesn't really get too much benefit out of it other than putting a lot of pressure on Jensen, who he's kind of okay with having pressure on him because he has the teleport, right? Which now means that he can play inside of this pocket on the lane, and as long as he's within close proximity to Svenskeren, he's still going to be fine. The problem that this ends up doing, though, and it does put Svenskeren behind, you know, is that he's now forced to tunnel into Gromp, and then after that he can get Scuttle, and then he can go to Golems. As long as 6A and Bifrost and everything's being communicated know about this, it's really, really difficult for him to do anything, which is okay. Licorice and Jensen just basically need time to scale. Sneaky and Smoothie are okay being shoved in, and as long as the acceleration from CLG isn't too fast, it's completely alright for their laners and their jungler to fall behind. It's just the nature of their team composition. So, the one benefit that Reignover doesn't get from this is that actually top lane is a defensive scaling top against the Ornn. So he's going to be completely content to actually just sit inside of this little drawing that I have and just passively farm against Darshan. Now, if Darshan was getting shoved in, if the top laner was going to be aggressive, shoving in the waves, you know, and doing all that good jazz, there is enormous amounts of pressure being applied, because now if Darshan had the wave right here instead, he actually can no longer move up onto his side of the map. He has to be cautious, he has to rely on his yellow trinkets, he's in a constant fear. And what this ends up doing is it actually tells Svenskeren that, hey, I know that you need the third camp, but you can only go to the Gromp and then you have to recall it and then path up to Golems, because I need you to get vision. What this also does is, again, that pocket that Jensen would ideally want to play into, because Svenskeren can go like this to this, and then obviously be in close proximity to his mid laner, is no longer available. So, if the top lane dynamic was a little bit different, this could end up paying off a lot more than it is right now, but it's still overall a pretty good play by Reignover. So what he could end up doing, if he wants to be really creative, he can obviously just go boom, boom, and then he can back up, and then he can get Scuttle Crab, and then he could recall, and then path into his blue side. And then if he ends up doing that, there's an option to continue up to the top-hand side when he predicts that Svenskeren could go up to the top-hand side as well, and then it would end up being a match gank. If he does end up successfully match ganking Svenskeren, well, now he has the timer on the wraiths. He knows exactly, you know, when Svenskeren's wolves come up, and now he can just mirror him across the map. But the one that benefits from that the most is going to be Reignover because of the rubber banding XP and the fact that his wraiths are coming back up, and he'll transition into the side of the map where most of the pressure is currently present. So ends up playing out pretty well. So there's a lot of stuff at play, even though it's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the game. It's just going to matter how everything ends up juggling. Okay. He goes over to Gromp, and this is to be expected. Reignover just making sure nothing's going on, and it looks like he is going to start the red. And it would be, I think it would honestly be a pretty poor choice to go to the Golems. I think that the Golems resetting it for Svenskeren when you don't have any incentive to come back to this side of the map would actually be counterintuitive. Now, it looks like actually they want to set up a gank against Licorice. I feel like this is kind of risky. Jensen is in an okay state in lane. He has teleport available. You're trying to gank a Gangplank. You know, the wave doesn't look like it's manipulated efficiently. And so now I feel like this is the first error out of Reignover. You know that you're never coming back to this side of the map. It's just not happening, right? So with that being said, why clear this? Because now as Sven comes to it later on, you just gave him a free rubber banded camp. I think that's pretty poor pathing. Just to start it off, it also delays the speed at which you can get back to the right-hand side, so you know you're falling a little bit behind in tempo, and you're actually enabling the enemy jungler to do something. Now, this is one of those unique situations I was talking about. Imagine if he would already recalled and then he ended up clearing, you know, coming back, clearing the camp, whatever, recalling, and then pathing into his right-hand side jungle. You can see that Svenskeren wants to go over to the left-hand side, and now Svenskeren's forced to take a gamble. Well, it's not entirely a gamble because we have the ward here. On if Reignover, you know, is going to go back up to the left-hand side. And if the golems are up and everyone knows that the wraiths are down, well, Svenskeren has to go like this now. If he ends up going like this when Reignover is here, they can meet in top lane, and normally that would, you know, be okay, actually, because Jensen and Licorice, they want to scale. The problem is that it tells everyone in the game where Svenskeren can be for the next 3 to 4 minutes, and that's a really big problem, because what this means is that Reignover and Hui inadvertently have actually established complete control over both sides of the river, and Svenskeren is going to be pretty hard-pressed to fight back against that. So now, when Hui comes back to the lane or whatever, he has Lost Chapter, yada yada yada, and he can perma-shove in Jensen underneath his turret, they end up gaining control over this, the rubber-banded camp is back up, and then bottom lane is free to shove in permanently, whereas Svenskeren is left guessing on his side of the map, so now they can actually use this to pressure Infernal trait. So we hit play again. We'll just see what exactly is happening. Licorice completely content to have this happen. Yeah, and you can see that Reignover is actually delaying the speed that he wants to get the blue. And when he opts out of taking it again right here, I like what he's doing. He acknowledges that his laners have pressure, and rather than continue to farm, he actually just goes and says, okay, look, I need to figure out where is Svenskeren. I need to let my laners do their thing. He's already ahead. He doesn't need to continuously get further ahead, okay? This isn't an solo queue. Slow down there, Tarzan. So he's getting info for all of his laners so that they can actually just enable him later on into the game. And now you can see they come around here. A lot of pressure being put again onto Svenskeren. They end up stealing the wraiths, and he's just latching onto him. And he's trying to let his laners do his thing. But Hui, huge blunders. And that is a huge loss of tempo they did not want to have occur. So it looks like Reignover didn't have any intention to take his blue. It looks like he probably just wants to give it to Hui at a pretty specific point, and maybe they'll try to synergize and line that up with an Infernal Drake capture. Problem is now is that Reignover is level 6. So now ping's going down onto the red of Reignover. See what ends up happening. You can see that Hui coming down to just make sure, protect it, try to get some idea of where everyone is. Blue is coming up. Obviously, both parties are aware of that. Don't like how Hui's playing the lane at this point, though. Looks like now he's going to go over to his blue. Doesn't end up doing anything, though. Never mind. And, okay, now I like what he's walking up to the lane. He's making sure to shove it in underneath, and he's just making sure that he keeps Jensen underneath his turret. That way they're able to have an idea of where he is, basically, at all times. Now they're going to coordinate a gank up in top lane onto Licorice. Stopwatch, pretty good item, you know, nice item. And this, oh, okay, well, ends up backfiring. And now bottom lane, Smoothie and Sneaky are actually reestablishing pressure. And right here, I mean, if you want to be really cheeky, this is a pretty interesting situation, right? So you have Gangplank, and yes, your turret is under a lot of pressure. You're the scaling team composition, okay? You saw Hui come top lane, you saw he never had blue, you basically always saw Reignover, so you know that blue is still up, right? You know Reignover doesn't have his ultimate, you know Darshan doesn't have his ultimate. Rather than have Licorice just run back up to top lane, he could actually just take an L, because he knows that he is further ahead. He could just actually path down here immediately, right? Svenskeren gets his red, path down here, you have Jensen come here, shove in the mid with double bomb, and then Sneaky and Smoothie, who have priority, can reestablish control over here. And then you know that Reignover has no incentive to be on the right-hand side of the map. It doesn't even matter if Hui gets back into mid lane. So you can just actually make a 5-man play, and then Darshan is left as a sitting duck because he can't actually come to the Infernal. You get the Infernal, you give up pressure in top lane, you even maybe let the top lane turret die, and then you have Gangplank perma-farm here because it's too early in the game and CLG doesn't have ammunition to make anything happen, and they're very heavily reliant on their cooldowns. So this would be a really interesting play that Cloud9 could go for, and they're not going to do it, and it's really okay. Well, now that Svenskeren's gonna, all right, you know what, great, fantastic. You know what, Licorice, how about you die too? Never mind. All right, good. Okay, so they don't end up going for that, and it would have actually you know, let's see, I want to watch this again. So they know that he's on it, and this wouldn't entirely matter. Like if Gangplank was already headed down into bottom lane, Svenskeren, how does he know to? Oh, I guess he knows because of the ward behind him. Doesn't even have smite. All right, I wasn't actually factoring this in to something that I said earlier. So he should actually skip the red and just go straight to his dragon. He should skip the red, because he needs the smite for the dragon. So if he skips the red and then Reignover does that, maybe Reignover wouldn't do this unless Svenskeren's on it. Even if Reignover paths over to the right-hand side, because Darshan would be arriving at top lane and Gangplank would be present down here with his barrels already ready and stuff, I think it's completely irrelevant that he doesn't have his ultimate available, because Sneaky and Smoothie just have so much control inside of a condensed area, and with the barrels and stuff, they can pull out the Drake, and they can basically force CLG to maybe come as 4 members. If they end up giving up the Drake, then Cloud9's sitting pretty, because what it means now is that they turtle this, right? They turtle all of this. Gangplank maybe lets this die, right? You farm your Wraiths defensively, you let top turret die, and then you just turtle this, right? Very, very condensed area. This is basically Zerg versus Terran, all right? You just gotta stall for Defiler. I haven't watched ×2 VOD in so long. This is fun. Someone in Twitch chat. Well, his TP was coming up. Would it be up when they start the Drake? I don't know. It wouldn't be up when Drake would be getting started. He would just be a little bit too late, which is exactly what they want. Okay. Okay. Take a look at this dive one more time. Ultimate comes in. Yeah, nice stopwatch timing. Ultimate comes out. Licorice shouldn't have flashed. Think that he should have just embraced the death there. Svenskeren comes in, ends up picking up the game. And, you know, I was reading... I don't know. I'll talk about that after, actually. Now, it looks like they want to start the Infernal Drake really, really big. That they picked this up. Really, really good for their team composition. CLG, obviously not understanding that this is a dream for... this is just a dream for Cloud9. Look at the value that they get out of it. I mean, okay, Svenskeren almost just got a longsword, right? And that's on a Sejuani. So the gold value of that is just insane. Now, this is the situation that I talked about earlier. There is zero reason to defend top turret. This is something that, you know, I've gotten into arguments with players about, Reddit, etc. This doesn't do anything, okay? You know that you're scaling, okay? You can just defend this, just like Zerg versus Terran. If you get the Infernal Drake, and then there's another Infernal Drake coming up, you should want the most condensed terrain that you need to defend from as possible, because it restricts a lot of their tricky plays with their ultimates. It really makes it a lot more obvious. It basically telegraphs to you everything that they want to do, when they want to do it. You are required to invest into wards less than the opponents, and if their plays end up backfiring, it's sort of like this thing that back in StarCraft 1 we used to talk about, and it was something that pertained to Nada, which was a Terran player. And basically, it takes 4 clicks to issue a drop, and it takes 3 clicks to defend it. And for people that didn't play StarCraft, that's really important. And I'll try to explain what that means for you guys, because I'll probably end up using a lot of analogies sometimes in VOD reviews to better explain it, because the images that pass through my head when I'm talking about these patterns and scenarios is StarCraft. So if you have, a bunch of little soldiers right here, okay, you have a bunch of little guys, and then you have an airplane, okay, it takes 1 click to select all the guys, another click to select them into the helicopter, so now we're at 2 clicks, and then you have to select somewhere on the mini-map, that's 3 clicks, and then you have to issue the unload command, so it's 4 clicks, okay? If you are defending, you only need to select your guys, right? 1 click, and then select on the mini-map, and then issue the attack, so 3 clicks. So it's 3 clicks to 4 clicks. Now, this is really big in a game where the screens are moving very, very, very fast, but also this is sort of a way of saying tie goes to defender in a way. The less area that you have to defend from while you're scaling, sort of like the better. Unless you're playing like a style where, you're almost like a refugee, where you're constantly going to different places, putting up tents, abandoning it, setting fire to it, whatever, and forcing opponents to exhaust their resources while chasing you. So this is a really poor choice by Cloud9, where, you see that their mid laner's not here, you see that they're not contesting. Licorice should have already known that, they're on the way. And you see him again, Licorice should just give up the turret. There's absolutely no reason to try to defend this. Yes, it's a big wave. You're going to get way more value from the Infernal Drake that you're just about to capture. You have the ultimate. You can ult it if you really want to. You should have backed up way sooner. Let them take the turret. That way, they invested a lot of time coming up to top. They've invested more into wards, which we count as gold, okay? And then you just get to play like this. And this is completely fine. It doesn't matter if Darshan's unlocked at 11 minutes into the game. It doesn't do anything, because you know exactly what they can do. His teleport is ultimately nullified. The Herald doesn't matter. They can't rotate to get Herald at 11 minutes, and even if they did, it wasn't going to do anything to you anyway. Now, it is really important. I talked about this like 2 months ago or something. In games with control utility mages, the mid turret is actually extremely important with the changes that happen to turrets and stuff. And it's because, if you're a mid lane control mage, Azir or Orianna, you got Talia, Malzahar, Zillion, Victor, etc. Controlling this area and having it up longer, especially, and how it pertains to neutral objectives, is really, really, really important. So we're gonna just hit play again. I don't know why Biofrost is going for a needless ward, almost ends up paying for it with his life. And now Cloud9 should just be content to, let everything unfold. Just get shoved in. Use defensive wards. I'm thinking Rocks Tigers, like 2015, right? Defensive wards. Or G Tigers, whatever you want to call them. At that point. Just let stuff play out naturally. They got the Infernal Drake. Oh, I'm sorry. Next Drake's a Cloud Drake, which is perfect. That's beautiful RNG. Because it doesn't matter if CLG has a Cloud Drake. I mean, obviously, yes, it's nice for Malzahar, it's nice for Rengar, etc., but it's not a dragon that, it's not the worst dragon. The worst dragon at this stage for CLG would definitely be Ocean. but it's not like it's another, it's not like it's a mountain or an infernal, which is what CLG actually need to begin to pressure Baron more effectively, and then ultimately crack down on turrets whenever they end up being awarded like a situation where they could do that. Okay. And CLG is super, super, super far behind right now. I know it doesn't look like that. It's 15 minutes. Some people are probably like, LS, you know, what are you talking about? They're up, you know, 2.5k gold. Doesn't matter. They're behind. They are so far behind. And the reason that they're behind is because their gold is less efficient than Cloud9's. Their Infernal Drake, Cloud9's Infernal Drake, is scaling way harder than that minuscule gold advantage. Gold advantage itself doesn't matter at this stage, because even with that gold advantage, it doesn't translate enough to ammunition that lets you break turrets. Don't like how Cloud9 is trying to force these plays and stuff, especially because investing summoners into a spellbook champion is going to be less efficient if you have to commit with summoners. Looks like Reignover actually ends up going down, but these are sort of needless fights. These are things that don't need to be happening. Cloud9 should just actually be playing defensive pink wards, defensive control. Licorice should be eating Wraiths right now. I don't know why he's not. He should just reset that for his jungler. Scarron doesn't actually need all that much right now. Really nice kill by Jensen. And Cloud9 continuing to just go on the aggressive here. Sneaky and Smoothie actually doing a pretty good job. We'll just pay attention to this one more time. So you can see that Jensen and Scarron, they're trying to like clear out vision together. But this is vision that doesn't really need to be cleared out, because it's a Cloud Drake coming up. Okay, you don't care about this. None of this matters. Like, get the pink ward here, like the you know, the Faker pink ward that Faker popularized. Okay, get the pink ward to the left of Wolves if you really need to. Get a pink ward in here. Use a green ward here. Use the Scryer. You know, get ideas about them, but realistically, their vision should just be inside of this blue line. And they're not committing it as such. They're getting greedy. They're not identifying that they don't need to play this way, because the bomb is already present, you know? They just have to make sure. So basically, well, no, actually, let's not go that far. Those are things I probably shouldn't make analogies about, or metaphors, anything of that nature. You can see they're stealing Wraiths. I do not know the outcomes of these games. I know the outcome of one of the games. Do not know the outcomes of these games. Even when I clicked on the Reddit thread to read the comments, I just actually stopped myself. The only thing that I have an idea about is TSM versus TL, and that's because I clicked that main thread. I wanna VOD review these without spoiler, unless I couldn't prevent myself from being spoilered because of Twitter or something. Right now they're gonna get the red, and you can basically just see everything that's going on. And I really like how they're rotating their bottom lane up, and the reason that you want to rotate your bottom lane wants to be in the closest proximity to the major neutral, right? So could have done this a little bit sooner and sent Gangplank down. You could have definitely surrendered, you know, even more control of the map than they're doing. We keep talking about this. Looks like they're finally about to lose their mid-tier one. You can see another play now being made. And this is mostly because they're refusing to play the game properly. And what I mean by that is it is completely unnecessary for Cloud9 to push out waves. They can surrender. They can surrender parts of the map, because basically, here's an example that I started using with pro teams. Right? It's sort of like they get very nervous and anxious over Fog of War. Right? But if you truly understand the damage that champions are capable of, the speed that they can raise turrets, so they can take Baron, or they can take Herald, they can take Drake, etc., you can just calculate that yourself. The problem is that a lot of people, they tend to want luxury vision, wards that make them feel a little bit more safe. So one of the things that I try to tell people is go on a swing set, okay? So how do I undo that one? I don't know how to undo that one. All right. Go to a swing set at your park, okay? So just go to, one of your local parks and go to a swing set. And what I want you to do is I want you to get on one of the swing sets, and I want you to just swing forward. And everything, feels nice. Then I want you to close your eyes and hold your eyes closed. Normally, a person will experience pretty intense anxiety, or they'll feel something that's uncomfortable. This is a pretty common thing that, you know, I've had a lot of people do. I've seen a lot of people do it. I mean, I myself have experienced it. You'll experience anxiety with your eyes closed, even though you could close your eyes after 2 minutes of swinging straight. You already know what's going to happen. You're going to go forward, you're going to go backward. Nothing's happening. And yet there's an anxiety because simply your eyes are closed and you're in motion. The same way that pro players can actually obsess over vision that is not actually important to them. It just makes them feel a little bit better. The point is to use no information as information. Just because you can't see something doesn't mean that you can't identify what is and isn't there, or what isn't capable of things that could be there. So like right here, this is because they're not fighting for, you know, they're not fighting for vision well enough inside of their own jungle. And I understand that it's hard because of the team compositions, but they should have identified that as a priority for themselves way sooner. Should have been identified that Darshan was on a roam. And you can see they get a pick and they get a turret, but really, you know, again, the time bomb is still active. Like look at the gold advantage right now for CLG, right? It's barely over 1.5, no, it's not even 1.5k, and that's about to actually even go away as well, okay? And think about how much gold that Infernal is doing, and then think about how naturally the champions on Cloud9 just fare better with gold. Their gold is worth a little bit more than CLG's. And it starts to paint a much better picture of what's going on inside of the game. Sure, they pick up a kill onto Jensen. They couldn't do much more. They didn't have the ammunition. They didn't have, you know, the minion wave. And so Cloud9, they can play around these things. They can use it to their advantage. All right. Now you can see also, let's just go back a little bit more. You can see Licorice is shoving out a wave. He has a turret here. But rather than just shove this wave as fast as he's doing, he could probably just wait a little bit. He doesn't need to shove it at the speed that he does. Licorice could even go up and eat wolves right now. But instead, Cloud9 is investing over, again, areas of the map they don't need to. It's completely irrelevant. This turret is not going to win you the game. You know what's going to win you the game? By not getting caught out and letting the game go 10 more minutes, at which point you just can't lose. Okay, Gangplank just hit 13. Let Jensen continue to scale. Let Jensen continue to bring other members in the game up in terms of XP and level. Let Tristana get a little bit more fed. You guys have red side. Turtle this. Use Gangplank barrels, right? Use Zillion bombs. You know, you have Braum inside of a narrow corridor. It's very, very difficult for CLG to maneuver and penetrate this area, this part of the map. It's very difficult for them to get a Baron. Now, if they had, like, double Mountain Drake, this would be a little bit more acceptable, but that's not the variable that's present here. They didn't just get the turret. Yeah, see? I don't know what they're doing. Like, at this point, if Smoothie ends up dying, it doesn't mean that Baron goes away. It's 22 minutes into the game. Yes, there's a Malzahar. Yes, he has Leandries. I'm pretty sure that Licorice and Co. can actually still stop the Baron, even if Smoothie dies. I think it's more worth it to kill the turret, and then just have Smoothie cast his ultimate, and then you have Sneaky end up getting away, and then Jensen and Co. have priority on the right-hand side river. It's not going to be the end of the world. I don't know why. Maybe actually they can't. I know that maybe they can't get it. Just trying to see how much damage is actually being dealt per auto. Maybe he can't get it. But this doesn't detract from the main point that this is all useless. There's no reason to get the turret. Getting the turret is a horrible, horrible decision. Tunneling way too hard into a fundamental, or like a belief that has been like instilled in players that, you know, you have to get all the objectives. No, you don't. You just have to get one, the king. In this sense, you know, this guy's out of fuel. Like his only goal is to backdoor mate you, and you're giving him the opening to backdoor. You're giving him the ability to backdoor mate you. All you need to do is stabilize, protect your king, develop. That's it. But instead, you know, you're going off and you're picking off a pawn that doesn't mean anything. You know, you're investing your queen or your bishop or something into capturing something that's just completely useless. And for what? They're the ones. Ask yourself, what is CLG thinking right now with the map the way that it is, right? Black all of this out. Or not all of that, but yeah, black this all out. Okay. Black all of this out. Ooh. All right. Look at the mini map here. Let me oh my god. Okay. All right, let me open MS Paint. Let me just make sure that, yeah, that would have definitely taken my my Facebook. Give me 1 second. Okay, I don't know why that's not happening. Let me see if this works. Okay. Let's get the mini-map really quick. Should probably get someone that can help me do this in the future. All right, so this is the mini-map. All right, now let's make this, let's make it bigger. Let's make it 300. Okay. So this is the mini-map right now. And this is CLG. All right. Now, you know that the opponent has an Infernal, right? He has 1 Infernal. You know the opponent is more gold efficient. Okay. What do you want? Well, you can't kill Gangplank. You can't kill Gangplank down here in bottom, right? That's just not possible. So what do you need? You need them to overextend. You need them to come into like this area where they don't have a turret anymore. You need flanks in plays with Ornn. Right? So if CLG basically told Cloud9 right now, like, look, listen, guys, I know that we're best friends, okay? Jack and Hotshot, they go way back, all right? I don't know. If basically that's what ends up happening, CLG would tell Cloud9, look, I'm going to need you guys to come into mid right now. I'm going to need you to fight over vision over here, all right, so that we can collapse on you. I'm going to need you guys to get into positions where we can actually utilize this this giant red bear's teleport. I'm going to need you to stop stalling the game. I'm going to need you to, tell Gangplank to slow down there with scaling ahead of me. I'm going to need you guys to just take a fight with us. That's literally what CLG would say right now. They would beg for openings, flanks, teleport plays with Ornn and Rengar, Spellbook Malzahar. You know what they don't want? They don't want all of this vision. They don't want all of this. Because it doesn't do anything. They can't do anything with it. Because why? Because they can never break this turtle, this green turtle. There's no universe they can break this. Okay? Now, unfortunately for CLG, this turret is actually a thorn in their side right now. Because this is something that actually shouldn't still be existing. And it's actually hurting Ornn a little bit more. Because what could end up happening is you could have Gangplank locked up down here. And then you have the 80 carry frozen right here, handling waves as they bunch up, and then you just have the mid laner, right? And then you have all the vision control inside of here, and you just turtle it, and you bounce between objectives, and Cloud or CLG are the ones that are on a ticking time bomb, but they're not doing that. So let's just colorblind. Sorry. Yep. And now what? Now we're back to where we were at before. Cloud9 not feeling as great as they once were. And look. Look at this. Just watch the stalemate that occurs for the next 2 minutes after those fights. Baron vision doesn't matter. It's a luxury. Look. Yeah, we come in. Oh, and have to back off. That'll be a summoner spell. That'll be a cooldown. Great. Rinse, wash, repeat. It's the time bomb. You want to pick a team composition like this, you have to make sure you keep the heat on. Now they're going to lose an objective. And now if Cloud9's smart, they just back off. Sure, we'll take our jungle. Sure, we'll reestablish vision. And then CLG's like, no, can you guys please fight us, please? Just can you come out You know, we need to make use of these teleports. I need you to let, you know, Hui flash on top of you. Can we do that? That's what they're asking for. Look, CLG, great. You establish Baron control. Doesn't matter because you can't do it, and Cloud9 knows that you can't do it. Second that you try to, Gangplank's going to be there, off a teleport. He's going to meet you with some barrels. Jensen's going to, you know, restrict the area that you can approach from with the bombs. Even if you do manage to get on top of someone, you're never touching Sneaky. You're never touching Jensen because Braum is going to be a god inside of those narrow corridors. You can't do anything. And as long as Cloud9 identifies that, the game ends. Yep, just keep doing this. Good. See that wave in top? Doesn't matter if that gold's going to waste. You're more efficient on gold. You don't need to be ahead on gold. You got that Infernal Drake. No, what are you... Alright, whatever. You clear out the vision. Okay. They shouldn't be placing these wards aggressively. They only need one. And the reason that I say that they only need one is because all they need to know is when is CLG trying to get that vision. So this enables them to actually maintain their Sightstone charges and, you know, other stuff without, you know, investing into it. What are you doing, Cloud9? Hello? Hello? Look, we almost got third item here. All right, Gangplank's at 3 items. That's great. Okay, let Sejuani get something else. Just wait just a little bit longer. Why? This is what they want. It's what they want. The only thing. And I mean, even in a best case scenario, look at how little is actually achieved by CLG. This is like basically a best case scenario. Now imagine if this fight happens inside of here. Yeah, good luck. This whole reign over thing, that's never happening. He's just dying immediately. All right. Don't need to do that. No, why are you coming up and eating the waves? You don't have to do that. Let them shove the waves into you. Farm your jungle camps. Let Gangplank get wolves and wraiths. Sorry. Look at this. What are you guys doing? No! Oh, mother of God. You don't need to do this. I don't even care that you won. That's not the point. You don't even need to do that. All right? Oh my God. Yep. Now you guys end up winning. Yeah, good, because they can't beat you. They need more ammo. CLG would need like a 7.5. Let me just explain something to you guys right now. CLG would need like a 7.5 to like 8.5k gold lead right now to be even against Cloud9 with that Infernal Drake. And even then it's not really even because we factor in color. No, Twitch chat. No, it doesn't matter that they won the fight. That's not the point. Now what's going on? Okay. All right, hold on. Let's rewind. Come back to live. Gangplank's going down to bottom. This was good by CLG, to be honest. This was actually a really nice pick by CLG. And Cloud9 needs to just back off. Yep, back off, back up. No, Sven, no. We don't need to do this. Yep, just back off. They can't beat you. Just wait it out. Farm your jungle camps. Get Gromp, get Golems, get Wraiths. You don't need to end it on this Baron. Okay, you know what? Or maybe, you know, you feel obligated to do so. But, yep, look at bottom lane. So now let's get mid. Yep, send Licorice bot. Okay, good. This is good shit. This is good. Go through the red side jungle, establish vision. Now we're going to get bottom tier 2, and then we're just going to back up. Yeah, get bottom tier 2. Do not push on. No, we did not. All right, well, when CLG is just going to hand it to you, you know, by... So basically, CLG should identify that they can't protect this turret, and then they should just be here, and then the wave comes in, they get this, they escort the wave up, break back, eat the Ocean Drake, force the Elder spawn. That should be the play. And then, you know, someone comes back and gets, whatchamacallit, someone comes back and gets Gromp. CLG walks up too far. The original intention here by Cloud9 should just be to get the tier 2, and then, like, this is if we're playing the game as safe as possible, because it's a tournament, you know, and points and standings matter. CLG should never be in a position to get dove on like this. They're just way too far up, and so, you know, Cloud9 identifies it. It would be more problematic if Cloud9, you know, shoves this wave into right here, and then they try to force the issue. That wouldn't be as good. They could, so, alright, so rather than the Elder, I'm a fan of the Elder play, because I want to get Elder Dragon on the map as fast as possible, and it's already impossible for us to lose, and that's just another thorn in CLG's side. Okay, alternatively, you could actually argue against taking the Ocean Drake. This is something else that I say in coaching sessions and sometimes VOD reviews, because Elder is actually one of the only ways that CLG can win. But the thing is that Cloud9 is so in control right now, and it's just another problematic fight inside of like condensed areas that it benefits Cloud9's team composition in such a unique way. It would be okay to get it alive and active. Okay. But if they would end up shoving up and then CLG backed up to like right here, turtled this area, they could actually not have shoved up as 5, they could have shoved up as 4 and had someone run into mid lane, probably Jensen, right, with his speed boost on Zillion, tap this wave, and then you could go up as 4, gangplank barrel along the wall, and then you could look to bust this open, and then back off, and then if you back off like that, you back off as 4 this way, and then you back off as 1 this way, you come all the way up, and then you just recall. You just make sure no one comes up to stop this wave, because what you want now is if you eat the dragon, you get the blue, you get the Gromp, and then you recall. You want this wave to kill this wave, and then come up to this wave, and then you want it to kill this wave, and then the wave that comes out of Nexus next, that's going to be the wave that you end up grouping. You go 4 down mid, and then you go 1 down top, you escort the wave, 4 come to here, come in through the jungle, and converge, and now 5-0-0. Okay, 5-0-0, get the turret again, you can push up, and then depending on the state of mid lane, you can then bounce into mid lane, or if CLG is actually decent and sent Malzahar up to deal with it with the Voidlings and escort it, then you just end up backing up, and then rinse, wash, repeat, a 0-4-1 or a 1-4-0, never going to be a 0-0-5 or a 0-5-0, these won't benefit you, so we're going to cross those off. And then if you end up doing that, you basically just stall out until the next Baron, you capture the next Baron, and then from there you end up threading the needle. So it looks like the game probably just going to end. There's a pause. I'm just going to skip ahead through this. All right, let's try to skip ahead. Looks like it goes to the analyst desk. Oh, didn't see whatever's happening here. It looks like they just push on to end the game, which they can do at this point. Okay, so that was it for CLG versus Cloud9. So Cloud9 outplayed CLG. Okay, CLG outplayed them a bit in the early game. Could have done it a lot better. Different routing, different pathing. Licorice made a pretty big error on the top death when Infernal was getting captured. I think that CLG fundamentally made some early game issues between like 8 to 15, but I think leading up to 8 they were okay. There obviously could have been some refinements. And then I think that my major problem with Cloud9, and it's a problem that tends to plague even some LCK teams, is they don't identify what the enemy team needs sometimes, and then they don't play against that. And you know, it was a problem that I had with all the Western teams, even when I was doing my prep for Worlds in 2016, that I was able to basically look at and be like, okay, they're clearly just playing to do things because they think that they're better and because they're currently in a better position, but they don't realize that just by waiting a little bit, by biding their time, they're going to be a lot better off. So basically what Cloud9 was this game is they got into an advantageous position at some points, right? And it was like when Bitcoin first went up to like $500, right? And they're like, oh, I gotta cash out now, And I'm like, no, listen, if you just wait, because, you know, I'm a time traveler, all right, you're gonna end up making a lot of money. And they're like, no, I gotta cash out now, And I'm like, okay. And like, you know, CLG is like the people that can buy the Bitcoin for that amount, you know? So that was pretty much it. And yeah, that was it for that. So